Welcome to the KMB Music Den. We're having technical difficulties before it starts.
Yeah.
But we're here to discuss a very important topic today.
We're good now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, folks, who's our guy? Who's our guy? David Ryan Adams, DRA all day, right?
Yep.
So, what's he been doing lately, Brad?
A lot of cover albums.
Cover albums.
Cover albums.
One of the greatest songwriters of all time.
He's writing a lot of cover albums.
Well, he's not writing them.
Well,
He's recording them.
he's recording. You got a point.
All right, let's cut. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So, well, you and I have discussed this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to let you go first because I don't know if your stance has changed at all, but the last time we discussed it, you had a lot to say. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, we discussed it because he's dropping a lot of albums lately, and we got spoiled with Chris, Romeo and Juliet, God, Wednesdays, F&M,
Devolver.
Jeez, what
Yeah.
else can he release?
Yeah.
But then we started getting, we got definitely maybe on the hook here. We got
Well, and then we got Nebraska.
Nebraska. We got Blood on the Tracks.
Blood on the Tracks, yeah.
So
3 in a row.
yeah, so we got a lot. So we were discussing it because we're nerds and we are huge DRA fans. So we discussed the cover albums. Myself, I've not listened to much of them, honestly.
Okay.
I think mainly why anybody who watches this knows I'm a huge Oasis fan as well. Definitely, maybe to me is a masterpiece. I don't see any reason to redo it. Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska, absolute masterpiece. If I want to listen to Nebraska, I'm going to listen to Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then we had what was the third one?
Blood on the Tracks.
Blood on the God. That's my favorite Dylan album.
Is that guy's name Bob Dylan?
Yeah, my favorite Dylan album.
Yeah.
One of the greatest of all times. If I want to hear Blood on the Tracks, I'm putting on Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't have a problem with him doing the albums. Do the albums. You put out so much music, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
I just wish it was with albums that maybe were flawed. Where like maybe you had an artist who had, that you really liked that had an album that wasn't so great, that didn't sell, that was a critical flop, and then reimagine that album. The albums he's choosing were perfection. You couldn't do anything but make it worse.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you can't.
How can you improve on Blood on the Tracks?
Yeah, exactly.
Kinda,
That album is perfection all day long. Now, do you have a Dylan album that you're not a huge fan of?
Well, you're more of a Dylan historian than I am. I think maybe, to your point, I think it would be very interesting if he took an album from Dylan's from like the 80s. Let's
That's
say,
what I was hoping
let's
you'd
say
say.
Down in the Groove.
That's what I was hoping you were going
Or
to say.
even Empire Burlesque.
Yes.
And do it in his Ryan Adams way.
Thing
That
you
would have
made.
made more sense.
That
I do
is
agree with that.
exactly what I was hoping you would say. Because he would absolutely reopen those albums that I think Dylan didn't quite get right and show us what Dylan was actually going for, but with Ryan Adams' special touch. And I think that would have been amazing to have something like that
Very interesting.
available to us.
Interesting take.
And I think even Dylan would have been like, hey, let's see how that was. Because his albums aren't lauded as great masterpieces. Whereas Blood on the Tracks, you only paint the Mona Lisa once. You're not going to, someone else goes in and paint it, it's just like, hey, there's no point in it.
Yeah.
But let's do it like, again, Nebraska, you're a big Bruce fan. Is there any Bruce albums that you would think, man, it would have been interesting to see a different take on this?
Well, we're not going to find a Bruce album that that was
Bad.
didn't work.
No.
But what about Devils and Dust?
Exactly, and that's a great idea.
You know.
Exactly. Another really good album
Yeah.
that didn't quite see as much attention as it should have gotten.
Yes.
Didn't seem like it came together the way exactly it should have. And it'd been fantastic to see him paint that again.
Or maybe we go the same route with the 80s, like the album Human Touch or something like that.
Yep.
So.
And Oasis. I love Oasis. Do Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. That's an album that not many people embraced or in America even know.
Or Don't Believe the Truth even.
Oh, it's such a good album.
Yeah. See?
But again, an album that was slept on, that would be interesting to see another take, and if it reopens people to those albums.
Now, with him doing What's the Story Morning Glory,
Mhm.
I do find it interesting that he's already announced that he's doing it as a double album. All the B-sides from that era of the band are going to be included too, which I find interesting. So let me weigh in here, sir.
Sure.
You've had your say.
Okay.
And we'll go back and forth here, I'm sure. Let me weigh in. So, initially, folks,
Okay.
I felt almost exactly the same way as my friend Brad here. Why You know, why take these classic albums and re-record them? Like he said, I didn't even think it through that far to be like, we'll take a more obscure Dylan album, we'll take a more obscure, more obscure Springsteen album. That's brilliant, by the way. I didn't even think of it as much that. I just thought, you know, man, you're a legendary songwriter. Just give us more of your songs, you know. And that's selfish, but
It is.
but you know, it's what I love. And he's been just killing it the past couple of years. So that's why I'm like, what else can he give us? There's talk of, you know, the Reunited Cardinals recording soon and all that, so we'll see how that goes. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Here's a gentleman who's given us so much original music that is just absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant. And he's kind of alluded to this on social media, that this is him getting inside some of his favorite albums and working his way out from the inside and finding his way with them and doing his homage, his take. You know, I think at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, I think at one point you said, hey, if he felt the need to do that, fine, but why would you even release them? You know, like he could do it as an exercise just for himself. Now that I don't agree with, because there are people that will enjoy this. And there are people also that will, you know, there are people that I've actually seen online review Nebraska and said that wasn't a Springsteen album they were overly familiar with, and it led them to Nebraska. And they were like, wow.
Okay. Well.
And those people said, of course, Springsteen's is better. You know?
Yeah.
So, and these are big Ryan Adams fans, you know, they're posting this. But I think for some reason the Oasis one, I've heard some of the demo versions of the early, you know, not the full song versions on his Instagram and what have you. Some of the Oasis ones I think are the best of the three albums that he's done. Just his take on them. I don't know, just something about it. But, well, again, you know, I will call you out too, like I did in that other video, that you're talking about things you haven't really listened to.
Let me explain to you. I have listened to parts of them.
Okay.
And as I was listening to them, I just went, I can't. It just,
it
was weird to me to hear
your heart wasn't
a song.
in it.
Like, here's another explanation that I'll give you.
Yeah, please.
If they said, well, let's see, who's a great songwriter that we enjoy? Who do we both love as a songwriter?
Oh, geez.
Let's say Langhorne Slim. We're big fans of Langhorne
Yeah.
Slim. Let's say they said, hey, he's going to come out with a cover of Heartbreaker. I would have zero interest in hearing it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just wouldn't.
Okay.
You're not going to touch Ryan Adams' Heartbreaker. That thing's a masterpiece.
Why bother?
Don't even mess with it.
Yeah.
Now, if they said, hey, the Strokes are coming out with a cover album of Rock and Roll by Ryan Adams, I don't want to fucking hear that.
Yeah.
Because that album didn't get appreciated. It wasn't touched, and I think it was better than what people understood. And with a band like the Strokes getting behind it, you go, okay, let me fucking rehear this thing again.
Yeah.
So I think there's ways to play the cover game where you could keep it interesting instead of going after heavyweights all the time.
Well, and here's a brilliant example of that, and you know exactly what I'm going to grab.
Because I think this is not, like I said, no disrespect to Ryan, because he can write whatever he wants and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. He's earned that.
Yeah, but I just think I'd be more interested to hear him touch something that needed a fresh take.
Exactly.
Instead of something that's just untouchable.
You know, I hear where you're coming from. Another thing I thought about with this too, though, was this is where Ryan Adams is right now at this moment in his life.
Mm-hmm.
He is into doing this. He's inside these albums, working his way out. Like I said, for him, let me think of a comparison. Okay, take a great, well-known actor. Okay, and anyone you can think of. Let's just say, I'll say Tom Hanks.
Sure.
Let's say Tom Hanks decided, you know what? I've done really well for myself. I've had a great career, but I think I can give more. I think I can dig deeper. I think I can be even better. He may watch The Godfather. He may watch, you know, Gone with the Wind. He may watch Casablanca. He may watch Rebel Without a Cause. He may watch some of these classic films as almost like a study to try and better himself as an actor. Now, then again, to your point, he's not going to post a video online of him watching the movie.
Yeah. He's not going to release him as the Godfather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's not going to suit up as James Dean, and he's a little old for that now. Would look weird. With all respect, I love him, but so I get there's a lot of ways to peel this onion, and I find it interesting, and you know we have a lot of subscribers that are Ryan Adams fans, so I hope we get a lot of comments on this. Yeah, it's just. I can see what he's doing from the sense of, I'm a songwriter, I love the craft so much. These albums are amazing. I want to get in there, get under the hood, see what I discover, see what I learn to make me better. Like, if that's where he's coming from as part of this, which it seems pretty clear from what he said he is, I don't have a problem with that. And quite frankly, you know, it's there for us to listen to or not listen to. Now, I listened to the Nebraska album. I thought it was not every song, you know. And, well, that's the other part of this, too.
What's up?
If you're going to do it, that's fine. But there are some of these songs on these albums that, to me, it just didn't work. So...
Well, I just when these classic albums, like I said, I don't want to hear. Not like I'm, but I just don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Because what I have in my head of Tangled Up in Blue is perfect.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear someone else doing Tangled Up in Blue.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it and have it in my head. Tangled Up in Blue is perfect. That's what I'm saying with Heartbreaker. Don't touch Heartbreaker. Don't touch Gold. These are albums that no one's going to improve upon, make any better.
Yeah.
If I want to hear them, I have them.
Someone did do Heartbreaker, by the way.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not... From what I remember just glancing at online, I don't think it was like a big name or anything.
Okay.
Someone really... It might have been on one of the Ryan Adams fan pages. So, and yeah, I mean, I didn't really... Ooh, I want to go listen to that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I tip my hat to the guy for doing it, putting that time into it and revering the album. But now, speaking of cover albums, I would be remiss if we didn't revisit this Counting Crows cover album. This is what I think we're talking about. There's, for example, now there's a couple songs on here, you know, Amy by Pure Prairie League and Return of the Grievous Angel, Graham Parsons, and I think they do Friend of the Devil on here, or
yeah, they do.
That?
Well, they did on one of them.
Oh, the Ballad of El Goodo by Big Star.
Yeah.
So there's some, you know, known stuff here. But then, you know, there's bands we've never heard of, bands they're friends with, bands that don't get as much attention as they deserve, that they put one of their songs on. And here's the perfect example of this, and I think I said this in our Counting Crows video. If you haven't seen that, we ranked the albums of Counting Crows, so check that out. There's a Dawes song. You all know Dawes. We love Dawes. There's a Dawes song on here called All My Failures, which is a B-side. Mm-hmm. It's a Dawes B-side, and that's the Dawes song that they picked to cover on here, and they do it great. So this is the kind of thing I think you're talking about, too. Like,
it is, yeah.
You know, take Bob Dylan's Down in the Groove album from the 80s.
That's exactly what I was
do
hoping
that.
you would say, too.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd pick the 80s, because to me, Bob didn't translate in the 80s the way I was hoping he would.
Yeah.
Where with Ryan, he could take that, he could channel that and make a great cover of that.
I think that's brilliant.
I'd be excited to hear that album.
That's a brilliant idea.
Whereas Blood on the Tracks, well, that's been perfected. I don't need you to make me another Blood on the Tracks cake. That's been done.
Yeah.
But
that's a very good point.
I would like to see his take on. And these artists, Bob Dylan didn't get bad. It wasn't that his albums in the 80s were bad.
Yeah.
They just didn't come across the right way.
Yeah.
So I would be happy, like you said, with the Counting Crows, where you're taking songs people don't really know a whole lot about and bringing them to light.
Yeah, you know, that brings up another thing too. I mean, would it have been better for you as a huge Ryan Adams fan?
Yeah.
If he did a collection of songs throughout Dylan's career that weren't the big hit songs and just made like a compendium, a compilation, so to speak, instead of taking a whole album.
I don't mind his doing the whole album.
Yeah.
It's a unique concept to redo a whole album like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish it was more...
you got a problem with the albums he's picking. Yeah.
He's picking albums that don't need to be touched.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way with him. I'd have problems with people touching certain albums of his.
Yeah.
If you heard someone's going to go out and cover the White Album, you'd be like, just stop.
Stop.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah.
But there's certain albums that, you know, someone might cover and you go, okay, that's unique because it's Bob. And like you said, Down in the Groove or whatever,
yeah.
I would love to hear that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it that way before, you know, we did this video.
So I think it's more choice than anything else. It's, you know, if he came out tomorrow and said, well, next I'm doing Tom Petty Wildflowers, I'd be, well, of course you are.
Yeah.
Again, it's another thing that doesn't need touched. I mean, it's...
Well, and I'll play devil's advocate again here, but from his perspective, if he wants to learn and grow and have the experience of getting inside these albums and coming out the other side with his versions and learning this as you know, from the songwriting craft aspect of it, why would you take an unsuccessful Bob Dylan album? Why wouldn't you take one of his best?
Because Bob Dylan wrote it. So you know all the ingredients are there. It's a matter of he didn't bake it right. So if you know you have a lot of talent yourself and you have a big appreciation for this guy and know that he's on to something,
yeah,
he just didn't get it right, help the guy out. you could redo that album and show the genius that was supposed to be there.
I love the idea.
I mean,
and it highlights, you know, I mean, Down in the Groove is a perfect example, I think, for that Bob Dylan album. I listened to that a while ago. I think I have it on vinyl, actually. I wasn't really as familiar with that one.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like, okay, yeah, it's not Blonde on Blonde. It's not Blonde on the Tracks. It's not Highway 61 Revisited. But there are good songs on there.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, they just didn't translate with what he was trying to do in the 80s. So if Ryan Adams would take that album and it would do Bob a lot more, not that Bob needs any help.
No, he don't need help.
Yeah, it would do Bob a lot more favors to
Yeah.
re-record Down in the Groove in its entirety than Blood on the Tracks.
So people go like, shit, that's an interesting album. Let me go check that one out. You know?
Exactly.
People know Blood on the Tracks. I mean, you might get one or two people who go, what was that? Or what was Nebraska? You'll find a handful, but
Yeah.
you're not going to find a whole lot of people who know what Down in the Groove is. Or
Yeah. Empire Burlesque.
Yeah, that's going to introduce some people to some things.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about a writing exercise? That's a writing exercise, is to take a puzzle that's not together right and to rearrange it.
Love it.
Instead of taking something that's painted perfectly and trying to repaint it, all you're going to do is make it look bad. I mean, and I'm not trying to say that in a negative way.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic artist, but if something's perfect, you can't make it perfect again. Like,
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I think maybe, you know, like he's done a couple REM covers that he's posted and stuff. So maybe if it was just more like a song here, a song there, like here's my favorite song on Blood on the Tracks and here's my version, instead of doing the whole album, maybe that would have been more palatable for you. I don't know.
Not fully, but
Yeah, I'm trying. But
yeah.
so no, I understand where you're coming from. I see what you mean. I guess I'm just trying to look at it from the other side of the coin too, as far as just like from a songwriter perspective too. You know, I get what he's trying to do. I respect it. Now, if he said, "Hey," because I know he's not. If he said, "Hey, I'm going to take all of 2023 and just pump out more cover albums the whole year," then I'd be like, "Dude, we need to talk." And again, because it's so much reverence and respect for him, I have for him as an original songwriter himself, is where I would be coming from. But yeah, I mean, you know, if he's going to record them, and he has, I mean, there's no sense in not putting them out.
Yeah.
You put all that work and time into it. But yeah, and oddly enough, I'm most interested in the Oasis one, which is the one that hasn't been actually officially released yet. And I do think it's cool that he's doing the B-sides from that era too and making it like a double album. I think that's cool. So we'll see how that goes. And then the original music, I'm sure, is coming. There's talk of the Cardinals album. Who knows what else he's got laying around in a vault somewhere. There's so much stuff I'm sure he has that he's not released. But more than anyone else, because he is my favorite, I think I give him more slack to do something like this.
Oh, he's fully
because
allowed
he's
to do
given
it.
us so
Yeah,
much.
I'm not telling you you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from my perspective why I'm not
Sure.
excited and enthused to go dig into them.
Yeah.
Whereas with certain ones I might be really ecstatic to dig into them, you know. So
Well, and if Ryan announces like, hey, like when he came out with Devolver, like, hey, here's a free present, here's his album,
and it was fantastic too.
and it's a great album. Like
Yeah.
when he announced that he was releasing all of Nebraska, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, like we're saying, as if he said, hey, I got a whole new album and I'm putting it out next Friday, we would be like, losing our minds.
Yeah.
Whereas with the covers album, it's like, okay, I'll probably check it out.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference too. But folks, as always, this is an interesting topic to us. I mean, this is what's happening right here, right now with our guy, DRA. So weigh in the comments. What do you think? We both see kind of both sides of each coin here to a certain extent, but we have a little bit of a different stance on it at the end of the day. So let us know how you feel. Maybe there's another angle to this that we're not even seeing that you would bring up that would be interesting to us to read, and we are reading them. So anything you want to wrap up on this?
No, I mean that covers it. I think we're both
Covers it?
That covers it.
Come on.
That wasn't even attempted.
That part we did not practice.
No.
Yeah. We don't practice anything.
No.
So, for Brad, I'm Keith. This is the K&B Music Den. What do they need to do, buddy? They need to like the video.
Smash a bell.
They need to smash a bell for notifications,
And,
right? They need to subscribe to the channel.
They do that.
And if, they could share this on social media. I mean,
sign waivers about something, or is there something else they got to do?
no. Well, maybe if they've updated the YouTube
Do we have any T-shirts we sell yet? No.
No, and I'm
Okay.
not selling this T-shirt because it's cool. I don't care what you say. So, thanks again, folks. We appreciate the support. We're creeping up on 200 subscribers. Compared to other channels, that's peanuts. But for us, we're building something from the ground up
Yep.
here. We're happy with the feedback, the views. It's not all about numbers. It's about just the communicating back and forth, the connection of how much we all love music. So thank you so much, sincerely. We're excited. We got a whole new year of new releases coming up, new concepts. We already have some in the works that we're going to debut later on this year of different new series that we're going to do that we're excited about.
Yep.
So stay tuned. Tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your pet. And we are the KMB Music Den, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.